Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of How Did You Show? Today, we are recording episode number 21, which I'm very, very excited about. For those who are following my podcast, they know that I'm excited about recording every single episode. However, every episode is exciting for different reasons. So today, I'm interviewing a business partner of a good friend of mine, Dan Answer-Hart, who also was on this podcast before talking about his rent to HMOs. He is a really good at that. So if you haven't listened to that episode, go back and listen to that one as well. So today Today I am interviewing his business partner, who I'm very excited about because since when we met with James and we started talking, we realized that we have a lot in common. His story, prior property and during property, it's very unique, very fascinating, and just very, very interesting. And I just know that loads of people will find loads of value and loads of inspiration in his story. So I'm super excited to introduce you, James Baker. Hi, James, and welcome on the show.
Hi, Lenka. Thank you very much for having me. It's good to be here.
I'm super excited to have you on the show. I was looking forward to this episode. So yeah, James, as I said, that you are, I know you through being a business partner of Dan Answer-Hart. For those who don't know you, can you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about who is James?
Absolutely. I'm James, James Baker, 34, originally from a place called Reading, which some of you may know, from a pretty sort of standard family. I've got one sister, mum and dad, and I suppose in my upbringing I was kind of surrounded by entrepreneurs, really. My mum is a occupational therapist, so a counsellor that deals with sort of anxiety, divorce, all that type of stuff. She has her own business, had a practice from her house and has done for many years. I remember as a child having to sneak back in from school very quietly when raiding the fridge for food because my mum would have a client in there next door, and she still does that today, not full time, but I suppose from a young age I was sort of seeing my first sort of parent there having their own business, and they weren't working for anybody else, so that was the kind of the normal bit. And then I had my dad who had his own property business. Wasn't a property developer, but he had his own independent estate agency in a little place called Caversham in Reading, and he dealt with sort of more so really high-end properties. So he didn't have many on his books, maybe only sort of 30 at any one time, but what he did have was really decent properties. And this was 20 years ago, where his properties were about 400 grand and above. So, back then that was a lot of money. So he had a very niche sort of market. So I was watching two parents being brought up in Reading and having their own businesses. And I suppose, like I say, from a very young age, I thought I wanted to work for myself as opposed to working for somebody else. So I then developed a love for the outdoors. I joined the Army Cadets when I was 12 and went on lots of wonderful adventures, learning how to shoot, map and compass, drill and turnout, lots of things that exposed me to the outdoors, and I sort of fell in love with that and did lots of outdoor pursuits, and it took me to Southampton University where I then did a degree in outdoor adventure management business, which I remember telling my my nan at the time, and she said, "Oh, that's ridiculous. You can't be doing degrees like that. You should be doing accountancy or maths." And excuse me, what my nan didn't realise that it was a university is a business, and they're going to create lots of different types of courses to make more money. More people on different courses, more money they make. And I looked at the prospectus guide, and it had a picture of a white water rafting group going down a river in the Amazon, and I thought, yeah, that sounds good to me, and I'll go for that. And I don't think looking back at it, my family would have thought I would have gone to university because I wouldn't be seen as the most academic person, dyslexic. So is Richard Branson, by the way, just putting that out there. But yeah, they didn't think that I would go to university, but I did, and I managed to get a 2:1 degree in outdoor adventure management business. But in my final year at university, that sort of entrepreneurial blueprint in me came out, and in my final year at uni I should have been spending time on my dissertation, but instead I was setting up a business with a guy called Tim I met on my course, and we actually set up a business that was doing rock climbing and scuba diving holidays, because that was my dream, to do what my passion was. And by my second year in uni, I'd become a scuba diving instructor and a rock climbing instructor, and yeah, just doing what I love in the outdoors, but wanted to make a bit more money than that, and wanted to actually set up my own business. So we set this business up, and we were already trading before I'd set my sort of final exams at uni. Like, I look back at it now, I think, what was I doing creating all that extra pressure? And I could have probably got a first looking back at it, but I settled for a 2:1 in the end. And yeah, so that was my first sort of taste of having my own business. And then we had that business for 3 years, and it did okay. It didn't fail, so that was a result. But it definitely wasn't giving the figures that I kind of wanted it to do. So we sold that business. And then I was told by a friend of mine about this wonderful world of super yachting. Now, for those of you who don't know what super yachting is all about, there's good programs out at the moment called Below Deck. But basically, you've got very, very rich people, billionaires. They have toys, a bit like we do, whether that would be a GoPro or whether that would be a drone. That's our toys. Their toys are like 100 to 500 million pound super yachts, and I ended up working on one of those.
Boy.
Yeah, that's it. Boys' toys, but to the next level.
Yeah.
I can't even fathom the boat I was working on was about a 400 million pound build, and yeah, that was just their toy boat. But I got a really good job working as a scuba diving instructor for the owner, and it was there that I saw this was going to be my kind of catalyst to save money to buy property. Basically, I would save all of my money. So, but you know, I've got a huge passion for travelling, as you and I have talked about, Legs, and travelling is a huge part of my upbringing. When I was 18, I said to my family that as soon as I finish my A-levels, I'm literally leaving home and I'm going travelling around the world. And I did that for a year, and it was the best thing that I ever did. And I suppose that excitement of traveling has never ever left me, but I just found another excuse at the age of 27 that I didn't want to face reality of the real world. I wanted to go on a super yacht, travel the world to amazing places like Tahiti and all the rest of it, and get paid to do what I love and save money for property. So I did that for 3 years, and I've met lots of people in yachting, as you do, being in it that long, and I saw a denominator that people were getting stuck in it. So how could you leave a job where you were getting paid, you know, in excess of £5,000 a month sterling, no gas bills, no electrics? It still pains me today to go and buy Gillette razor blades for shaving when all your toiletries were free. You had no life overheads. But if people are stuck in that for 10 years, they'll find it very hard to come back to reality, if you know what I mean. So I did my 3 years. I managed to buy a property whilst I was on the yacht, which I'll come on to a bit later. But then I got out. I'd seen the world and I left yachting. And yeah, it was good fun, but I also realised that I was missing a lot of things. I missed a couple of funerals that I couldn't get back for simply because the boss was on and you weren't allowed to leave the boat. I missed my mum's 60th birthday party. Having a relationship was very, very difficult, and you just don't get into relationships on boats. It just doesn't work. So I never had those things. So it was time to leave. And I came back to Reading, and with my backpack on my back at the end of my bed going, all I want to do is go back on the yachts. What am I doing back in Reading, and what am I going to do now? And that's normal after travelling for quite a while and working. But
I know that feeling.
yeah, no, big time. It's travelling. I just love it. But I knew that I had to face the music and, come back down to earth and hit reality. And financially, I was okay with my savings. So I thought I'd take a few months out. My dad had sold his property business, his estate agency, and he'd moved to Cornwall. So naturally, I came to visit my dad in Cornwall. My parents have been divorced for 10 years. Don't ask, just never worked out, but they still speak today, so that's good.
That's lovely, yeah.
Yeah. And I just fell in love with Cornwall. I love the beaches, I love the people, I love the way of life, I love the little cottages, I love there's over 100 National Trust places that you can go to, and I just love the outdoors. Why do I want to be in Reading when I can live on the coast and have a sea view and position myself when there's cows and fields? It was an absolute no-brainer for me. So I moved to Cornwall, and then I was in the right place at the right time. I managed to get myself working for a really, really high-end hospitality holiday lettings company that's based in North Cornwall. And I worked for them for 4 years, and my job title there was head property manager. And this is where the penny dropped. I was working with properties that were charging, from £5,000 a week up to, a lot more than that. And I was astounded to see how you could charge that much. But then I saw the quality of the properties, the people that they're attracting, and I thought, you know what, this could be a really good way to kind of get into some form of portfolio. And this is where I aspire to be, to have properties like that, where, come on, if you're getting that type of money per calendar month, this is a good way to go, right?
Yeah, exactly.
But, it was a good stepping stone for me. I did feel a bit lost coming off the yachts, and I learned so much with that company. But I knew that property was in my blueprint, and it was where I wanted to be. I wanted to become a property developer more than anything, but I'll probably come on to that in a bit with more relevant questions on that bit. But I did 4 years with that company, and then through my property journey, managed to get financially free. Again, I'll come on to that a bit later, and here I am as a full-time property developer, and I absolutely love it.
Amazing. What a fascinating story. I said exactly that. It's like, it's not someone who did 9 to 5, for example, and they build the business on the side, during the evenings, for example. You had this very, very different 20s, let's call it. In your 20s, you've done different things, and just like what I've done as well. Just went out, traveled, found out exactly who I am, seen the world, seen the people, met the people from all the different countries. It's just, it gives you a lot, doesn't it? And as you said, that when you came back, you felt like, oh, all I want is just to go back. And that's exactly what happens. It does happen. Like when you have such an amazing experience on your travels, and when you come back here, suddenly you're like, oh, this is the reality. I don't want this reality. I want to go back to this because it's like, even though you work there, it's still like it's just dreams, or it's just different to what you grew up to, or what you're surrounded with usually. So I'm not surprised. But then, as you said, you moved to Cornwall and you fall in love with the Cornwall, and that's, again, I can resonate with that with you as well, because I came from London after my travels, moved back to London, and I'm like, I don't want to be here. And my friends were living in Cornwall, just like your dad. So I went to see my friends, and I ended up living there as well. So completely know exactly what you mean. And I think what also helped you to shift that mindset is the fact that you did travel. Because after travel, suddenly you're in Reading, and what you're gonna do? No, you want to be surrounded by nature, by coastlines and all that more. So completely understand that. So well done for this move. And as you said, because you love you love doing outdoorsy things, you love being outdoors. That seems like that suits you very well, and it seems like you did a good decision. So I'm very, very happy for you. Now, you have experience in you have experience in working with a lot of like luxury, let's call it, yeah. So from being on the yachts, then obviously to managing properties, like very luxurious estate properties as well. So obviously you have and you grew up with business minds, like, sorry, your parents were business had a business mindset as well. They were businessy. Sorry, I couldn't find my words there. That just shows that you have the drive. You have the drive for business. You have the drive for the details, for attention for details as well. If you're working with luxurious places as well, you must have attention to details, because that's what it is all about, isn't it? It's the attention what makes them different to others as well. So I'm very excited to hear more about what you're up to now after all this experience you got. So you gave us a little bit of the intro about how you got into property, but can you tell us more about exactly like what property was, what you thought the property would give you? So why did you get into property, and how did you start, really?
Sure, no worries. Well, as I say, I was exposed to property from a very young age, that I saw my dad, selling properties, which I'll be completely honest, he gave me a really difficult choice, because he wanted me to take over the business, and I thought, firstly, I'm very grateful to be in a position to have a business like that given to me, although I don't like being given things on a plate. But I thought long and hard about it, and it just wasn't in my heart that my dad's had a business for 25 years, that I just take over it, see how it goes, and if I don't like it, then I could just sell it. I wouldn't feel comfortable with that on a sort of an empire he's built over 25 years. And a terminology my mother uses, I would have been a bird with clipped wings. I just wouldn't be able to do this going forward, because my heart wouldn't be in it. And I really think anything you do in life, you've got to be fully behind it. Otherwise, it's not going to work. You've got to believe in it. And it's the same with property, in my experience so far. And so I knew I didn't want to sell houses. And I had worked as an estate agent whilst I was at university, and also for my dad. I enjoyed it. I liked the buzz of getting a sale and, of course, the commission, but I didn't want to do it. So what I then started seeing was really old properties that were being renovated, and really nice spaces were being created for people to live in. And I thought, this is really interesting. I like to see something that was very tired, run down, very sad, and it was made into, where it once came from, into a really nice property that was, fit for living. And I also thought that, property is very, very much like the restaurant industry. People are always going to need to eat food. We're always going to go out for meals, because we're lazy as a society. We like people to cook for us, and we like the experience, but people do need to eat, and they go out for that. And it's no different with property. We're a population in our little island that's growing every single year, and people are always going to need somewhere to sleep. So as a long-term career and investment, I thought it would be, really, really good for that. It's a bit naughty, but whilst I was at university, I actually, because I was working full time, I clubbed all of my student grants together, and I actually made an offer on a property, Grosvenor Road it was called, in Southampton, and it was on the market at £50,000. It was a one-bed flat, and I was so close to exchanging contracts, and right at the last minute, the vendor decided that he thought the property was worth more, and he didn't want to sell it. So I'd already spent about £2,000 on legal fees and conveyancing on that, but I couldn't get any more money up together. I'd already maxed the credit card. I just couldn't do it. So that was my first little taste. I wanted to get on that property ladder. So I just knew I wanted to buy property. I wanted to develop it. At that stage, I didn't know anything about all these progressive courses that you could go on. I didn't know anything about mentors. I didn't know about buy, renovate, refinance. I knew no strategy. I didn't even know what service accommodation was, but I knew I just liked the idea of property. So when I was on the yachts with my first sort of 4 paychecks, I saved all of that money. And my dad actually was looking for a property in Reading because he knew the market well. He picked the phone up to me and he said, James, I found a property. I think you should go for it. I went for it there and then. There was no value to be added. I didn't understand any of that. It was just a good investment that would go up in value over time, and it would be able to create a good yield. So I suppose just I love property. That's why I wanted to be in it. And I had this picture from a young age that after the mortgage is paid and the bills, there would be a little pot of money left over. In the average buy-to-let, let's call it 300, 350. I would need X of those, and I would be able to live a life where I could choose to do what I wanted to do, and that money would pay my bills. I wouldn't say I'm a very extravagant person with what I buy. Yes, this is a Polo Ralph Lauren top. The reason I've got this is because I know it lasts, and I actually bought it 6 years ago, and it's still on me today, and it washes well. It's not because of the name, and I want to have the brand, if you know what I mean. I believe in buying good quality stuff, but I drive a car that's 2001 and it's got 200,000 miles, and I'm happy with that. But what appealed to me was having financial freedom passively through property, so I could choose to do what I want to do. That's the difference, and that's solely why I got into property.
Fantastic. Love it. Absolutely love it. I think that's most of the people will enter property world because of the financial and time freedom it can give you, doesn't it? So yeah, it's very, that's fantastic. It's a good drive, and the fact is that you had father who was doing similar things when you were little. It's really good for your mindset as well as a child. You're growing up with that sort of mindset. I had complete opposite. To me was my dad was a builder, not businessman, and so I was learning a lot about building itself, nothing about business until my late 20s. When I started realizing, like, hold on, I love properties, but there are ways of making money in properties. That's it's interesting, isn't it, how everybody has different story. That's why I love talking to people and finding out their background about how they actually entered this world, because everybody has a different story. So yeah, that's fantastic. Okay, so James, now you came on the show to share with us more about how you became financially free. But one of your first properties, one of your first deals was you had a buy-to-let which you couldn't sell, and you turned it in the end to a very profitable SA. So shall we start with your beginning and tell us your story, because this is what I really can't wait for. How did that happen, and what have you learned on your journey, and how did you become financially free? Because I bet this is everybody they excited for to hear.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And it gets me excited, I think, because it's being financially free is still a relatively new toy. It's a new train set that I've got, because I've only been financially free since the beginning of this year, the 1st of January. But yeah, let's like you say, start from the beginning. So as you guys already know, I got the property whilst I was on the yachts in Reading. And then I did the yachting for 3 years. So naturally, Reading has been a really good place for capital growth. So the property, I bought that property there at 130,000. And within 3 years, it went up to about 165,000. So it was really good growth, but it was because we got a major good bit of luck. Good news, I suppose, was that we had Crossrail announced, and it was that Reading was going to be on the line going straight to Liverpool Street in London. So that was like a major thing for property prices, because people knew that you can commute from Reading to London in just 15 minutes. And there's a train that leaves from 5 o'clock in the morning till 11 o'clock in the morning every 5 minutes. So people wanted to live in Reading, pay less rent. So that enabled that to go up in value. So I naturally refinanced the property, got my money out, and then put it into another buy-to-let in Cornwall. It was a flat that I bought, in North Cornwall at £105,000. It was the only money that I could get out to buy something of that price. Again, I stress at this point, I knew nothing about buy, renovate, refinance. All I'd done was the bread and butter, vanilla, if you want to call it. I bought a property, it went up in value, then I refinanced 3 years later, got the money out and bought another one. I didn't get it below market value. There wasn't huge amounts of value to be added, but it was in a reasonable location. So I bought that, and then I was getting, I think it was about £600 rent for that, and my mortgage was £300 for that. The yield was good, and it was giving me £300 a month. My Reading property was also giving me £300, so I had £600 coming in. But I just sort of thought, do you know what? How long am I going to be spending my life saving up money to get another property, then another property? It's going to take me 15 years to get to a point where I'm going to have even 10 properties. If they're all giving me £300 each, that's only going to get me £3,000 a month over that time period. So I thought, now I'm going to educate myself. So I started buying property magazine. I started buying any books that I could get my hands on to learn about different strategies. And then that's the first time I started hearing about buy, renovate, refinance. But I read in the rules with those books and magazines that you must buy below market value so that you get it cheaper, and that you can add value in the middle when you're doing the renovation, and that you can then refinance it and get all your money out. Well, I was a bit stuffed there because I'd already bought the second property, and it wasn't below market value and nothing to add. So what I decided to do was to sell that property so I could get that money out, and then I could start again and do a buy, renovate, refinance strategy. So I was all happy. I put it on the market. I'd only owned the property for about a year, paid 105 for it. If I got 110 for it, I would be happy. It was only 1 year, and at the time we knew that Cornwall didn't go up in property capital appreciation much. It's just the way Cornwall works. It doesn't go up like that. So I put it on the market, and I didn't get any viewings for a month. I was a bit worried. I thought, hey, what's going on, guys? It's on a good road, you know what's happening. And I just didn't know what to do with it. 2 months went past. I got one viewing. They gave me a dirty offer of 65,000. I was like, no. Firstly, I'm the one that's supposed to be offering below market value, not you. Different when the tables turned. And long story short, I just couldn't sell it. So I thought, okay, let's break this down. It's June. What do I do for a living? I'm a property manager for a holiday lettings company. I'm in an area that's by the coast that has holiday let demand. Why don't I just put it on Airbnb? And I had a real incentive for Airbnb at that point, because my tenants caught wind that I was selling the property, and they were scared because they'd have nowhere to go to, so they moved out. So my asset became the liability. What was making £300 a month was now costing me £300 a month plus the council tax and everything else. So I decided to Airbnb it, and I couldn't believe my luck. It was just, I was fully booked for June, July, August, and September within a month.
Wow!
And I looked at the other comparable properties, and they were about £65 a night. So I thought, look, don't be greedy. Put it on at £50 a night and see how it goes. And then I suddenly looked at the math, and I was netting per month about £1,000 from that property. I couldn't believe it. I mean, to get £1,000 from a property that you've only spent 105 grand on was just amazing. And I had to think about it, and I thought, right, let's get this property off the market. we'll worry about getting more money for deposits later, and let's just, keep rolling with this. And what I then found is that even in the November and December, yes, the holiday market came off, but then contractors were coming in and they were staying. And then you got the occasional walkers who just come from walking or didn't want to come in the summer periods. And it's never to this day made me less than £500 a month, even in the most quietest times. And I've managed to retain a 90% occupancy rate on it. And I couldn't believe it. And I knew that this was going to be my strategy, because if you could buy something at 105,000, it was going to net you it was going to net you £500 a month. I'll be open and honest, I was taking home after tax about £2,000 a month with my job, which is really good for Cornwall. I was, very grateful for that. But I thought, all I would need would be to get 4 SAs and then I could get out. And so I then decided to do one of the best things I've ever done in my life, was to get a mentor. I got my property mentor, who I still have today. He guided me through all the strategies, and I was, even his eyebrows were being raised, and I was telling him how much I was netting per calendar month from what I'd invested, because getting to sort of £500-600, that's getting into sort of HMO territory, to be netting that. This was just a 1-bed tiny flat, probably about 30 square meters, not very big. And he said, right, this is your strategy, and then this is SA was going to be my strategy, and this is how we're going to get you to get money to buy property through investors. And it was going to be buy, renovate, refinance, hold, but do it with serviced accommodation in the North Cornwall area. And yeah, I just started working with family, and I was scared to ask, but I was like, look guys, I've got this model, I'm going to be doing this, I'm already a landlord, but may I get £2,000 please from my mum or my dad, close friends? And I look back at that now, where I'm, getting deals at north of 800 grand for a year to be, borrowing for bigger projects, which I'll come on to later. But back then, I just realised, don't worry what anybody else says. Oh, you can't do this, or oh, you're mad doing that. You don't want to quit your job to do this. That's negative energy. Get away from that. Get into that. I can do it. What I'm doing is not reinventing the wheel. It's nothing new. It's been going for decades.
And plus the negativity, plus the negativity where you were talking about usually comes from people who never tried anything like that. So it's even more interesting to listen to their opinion if they never tried it. So it's like, how can you tell me you don't do it? This is really bad idea. Stay in your job. It's like, well, you haven't tried it either. How can you tell? How can you say that? So it's very interesting to listen to what type of people giving you these negative talks usually, no?
Yeah, no, that's it. And, you just have to, I call it stick with the winners, stick with the people that do it. So we'll come under my tips later, but surround yourself by like-minded people, positive people. This is why I'm doing this podcast, to help you, to help me, my business, and to remind myself of where I've come from, and why is it I'm doing property? And it's because I enjoy it and I wanted financial freedom that much. And, I don't mean this in a morbid way, but the reality is my family is very small because everybody's dead. That is the reality. They've all passed away because they've had strokes, they've had heart attacks, or whatever it is. And they went through their whole life trying to get to 60 or 65, the retirement age, to then enjoy life. But then 2 years into, being 66, 67, they had strokes and then they died, and they didn't live a very good life. And I'm like, do you know what? Life is not a dress rehearsal. I want to enjoy life now, enjoy all the things I can do whilst I'm healthy, whilst I live in a beautiful place, whilst I am physically able. I don't want to wait till 65, the unknown. So yeah, I just had that drive to do it, and I knew it's what I wanted. And when James sees something, I don't let go till I've got it. I've always been ruthless like that. I will find a way to make it work. And I think you need that as a property developer, because it's, you hear about all the good stuff, but it really isn't always good. It's very stressful. It can be very lonely. And, you can have a lot of anxiety with it. But, you just have belief in yourself, surround yourself with positive people, and, you'll get there. And that's just what kept me going through, really. And I just knew I wanted to be financially free. So I made some good money that summer, obviously from that buy-to-let as SA. And then I got my mentor. I started asking people for money. They believed in it. And then I just found a property that was just north of Camelford in North Cornwall. I got it really, really below market value. I got trained by my mentor how to fish them out. I got into the vendor's mind. I went to meet them, and we came to a deal. It was a property that was on the market at 190,000, and I managed to secure a deal for 152,000.
Wow.
I renovated it to the nine. Boom, exactly. Renovated it to the nines, and got it all ready for holiday lettings, which I knew how to do that through my job for 4 years as a holiday lettings manager. And then I just couldn't believe it. The refinance happened. I was really scared. I got all the money out. I paid the investor off. And they said, but do you want to go again? And I've just repeated that process. But one thing I come on to now, and this was my sort of final bit of the journey of becoming financially free, is that last year, undoubtedly, has been a very tough year for everybody with COVID. I've had family members, that have been poorly with it, and I know friends that have had parents that have passed away with it. It wasn't a great year, but there's a lot of negative parts about last year, and I'm not afraid to admit this. I had a really positive year, mainly because my family are all well and they're okay. I see that as a big positive. I'm quite spiritually connected, if you haven't noticed already. I'm very grateful for the things that I have. But it is. It's really, really important. And again, it will be in my top tips of mindfulness. But I saw an opportunity, Progressive Property, Rob Moore and Mark Homer in 2008, they saw the opportunity. The market crashed, they bought everything up. I saw COVID as a catalyst to get me financially free. Why? Because people were really, really uncertain about the market. They were wetting themselves that it was a bad time to buy. And I just knew that the market wasn't going to crash. I believed it. It may have done, but in my mind, but I knew in my own James's head, it's not going to crash. But there were deals to be had. People were motivated. Sell now before the market crashes. So I bought another 3 properties. I got amazing below market value deals on them. I was able to add value to the max, and I managed to get all the money out. And that's all I did, like with that cottage in Camelford. I just recycled my money, and I worked really hard, and it was a great year. Almost say, thank you, COVID, for giving me the opportunity. Yes, it's sad, and it hasn't been a great year for a lot of people. I get that, but I think it's also good to reflect on the positivity of last year. Enabled me, and I'm sure other property investors, to become financially free because they got those deals. They were out there. I don't think today, 25th of February 2021, I'd be able to get the below market value deals because the market's so buoyant at the moment. They've just extended the stamp duty, and I can't be cheeky and say I want to spend 20% less than what you're asking, but I took advantage of it, and it gave me the ability to hand in my notice in October, and I came out of my job on the 28th of December. So it's the best Christmas present I could ever have. And now I wouldn't change it for the world. I pick and choose my time, and I'm financially free. And it's great. All I wanted in life was not a Bentley. It was to have choice, to do what I want to do. I do not want to be shackled to a boss under their terms. No way. So that's how I did it, really. Took advantage of COVID and went for it, and I got myself out.
Oh, wow. I mean, when I said again that your story is very inspiring, that's exactly what I was talking about. It's like you found positives in absolutely everything, and you just never stopped. You always had your drive. You always knew what you want to do, even though you didn't know how to get there yet. You tried this. That didn't work. You tried that. Oh, that worked now. Okay, I'll get myself educated, and you just went through there. And I mean, from there. And the fact is that you have spotted opportunities where most of the people were scared on this planet, literally on the planet. It's a global pandemic. That is just fantastic. And when you follow successful companies, including actually wasn't it even Airbnb, I think, which we're talking about service accommodation. Even Airbnb, they started during the first recession. Like loads and loads of companies, big companies now, started during the recession years ago. I'm talking about those first recession in 2008. Loads of companies done that because the biggest players, they don't get scared when most of the people do. So the fact is that everybody did get scared, and something happened in the market and everybody were panicking. You were like, hold on a second, there's going to be something in here, and you found it. So yeah, it just shows what type of person you are, and it shows that you have the right attitude and the right mindset for this game. So well done, James. Very, very pleased to hear that. Okay, so now I understand. Sorry, I have a little doggy visiting me. So I understand that you started really in the service accommodation, accidentally, really. It's not like, yeah, accidentally, and you made it work, which is fantastic. So what sort of what projects are you on at the moment? Is service accommodation is the only thing you are doing, or because you have mentioned that obviously you're doing BRR where you're recycling your money, but then you turn it into SA. So SA is the only thing you are focusing on, or is there other strategies you're working on at the moment as well?
Well, yeah, I've got some really exciting stuff, and my direction has changed slightly, but in a really, really positive way. So phase one of my property career was to get financially free, no matter how I did it, get financially free, so I could then go full time. So what I'm going to be doing is continue to build my portfolio. I'm happy to add a couple more service accommodations, but I also think it's good to diversify to maybe getting some ASTs as well. So get some standard buy-to-lets, just because we're at a time at the moment where you can't have holiday lets. My revenue's gone down a bit, but I've actually managed to get those out to key workers. But, God forbid this doesn't happen again, but you have to be prepared that it could happen again. And if I have a diversified portfolio, then, I've still got some extra revenue. And AST is lovely because they don't complain that there's no dog in the Monopoly. They don't complain that there isn't another towel. They don't complain because the carpets aren't spongy enough. They don't complain because the sun's not come out to play. SA is great, but my gosh, you do earn your £500 a month.
Yes. I had my funniest complaint was, I really don't like the color of your wooden floor. And they left me 3 stars because they didn't like the color of my wooden floor. And I mean, like, really?
Yeah, I totally get you there, Lenka, and I'll give you the best one I had when I was working for the really high-end properties, talking £8,000 a week for this one. And the complaint that came in, and I'm really glad I heard this complaint because it reflects on me as a property manager, of course, but the complaint was, hiya, we've just arrived and it's abnormally clean. It's too clean. It's a bit clinical. It's too clean.
What?
Now, I knew that was really good for me to hear that, because I then learned it doesn't matter how hard I work, I am never going to keep everybody happy. There's always going to be somebody that's going to have something to say. Oh, and we're the same with the British. You get a beautiful August day and it's sunny. Oh my God, it's too hot.
Yeah.
You're never going to keep everybody happy. Yeah, it's not sort of,
I can't believe your property is too clean. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it was. He said it was like a hospital. It's too clinical. It's a bit OTT. And I thought, well, whatever.
Wow. And then you got those people, and then you have those people who genuinely go with their finger behind the beds or behind something what you don't use at all, or you don't even go there. And they tell you, they send you a picture saying that I found a bit of dust. I want a cleaning fee refund. You're going on a holiday, but you're climbing under the beds, behind or something. It's crazy, isn't it? Well, you have different types of people.
Well, it is, because they shouldn't be in a holiday. Like, they should be in a psychiatric ward, reassessing their ability for life. But anyway, that's my take on it. But yes, we do get difficult people, and that's it. And I've always given a 5-star service, and I love doing that. I roll out the red carpet for people. And one of my achievements in SA, I became a super host quite quickly, and I've got really, really good 5-star reviews for the last year. So that's pretty good. So yeah, I will build a few more of those. I'm going to do a few more ASTs, but at no great pace. But the exciting news is that where I networked at property events such as PIG in Cornwall, Property Investor Group, which I go to, I met a guy there called Dan, very good looking chap. I know my sexuality, by the way. I have a lovely female partner, but yeah, I met this guy, and it was in Christmas 2019. Actually, we had our Christmas meal. I was sat next to him, and I was explaining what I was doing with the SAs, and he said to me, would you like to potentially talk about going into business with me? I'm looking at doing bigger projects, so things like blocks of flats, big HMOs, big buildings that were, in need of renovation, and would I like to join forces? So we got talking, and yeah, I'm pleased to say that I've created a property with my business partner Dan Anson Hart, who you mentioned at the beginning. Really good guy. We've got a great synergy.
Love
and
Dan.
Yeah, no, he's a really, really good guy, very knowledgeable, and I feel we have a really good synergy between us in the business world and our relationship. So we've got 3 really good projects that are kind of on the horizon. We've got a block of 7 flats in Newquay that we're converting into flats, but much, much nicer. So the same model: buy, renovate, refinance, and then there'll just be standard ASTs. We've got a really exciting project in Mevergizzy that we've almost got over the line. We're about to complete on it at the end of next month, so in about 4 weeks' time. And that has been a doctor's surgery, a care home, lots of different things. And we're converting that into 5 flats that we've just had planning permission granted for. So that's really exciting. We're also purchasing a beautiful grade 2 listed building that is a commercial, currently set up situation, that we're converting that into 2 large luxury apartments, and I'm really, really excited about it. So we've got our hands full for this year for sure, but we're still looking for other stuff. So that's going to be my main focus now, going after the bigger stuff. And yeah, these are going to be mainly ASTs that you can just have that guaranteed monthly income, and without the complaints of no dog in the Monopoly set and all the rest of it. So that's my plan at the moment. So doing that alongside my personal portfolio, but definitely that takes priority. I'm also doing a lot of mentoring now, which I really, really enjoy. I love giving back, and this is kind of one of the reasons why I'm on this podcast, to give back and share my experience and show that it's not all glamour. It can be quite hard as well, yeah, so I want to build up my sort of mentees bank, if you like. So I'm looking for new mentees to mentor, and I've got a couple of them financially free already, so I just really enjoy that. And I remember when I started, when I first got my mentor, I just wasn't too sure about it, but I can honestly say, and I'm not pitching myself here, I'm just talking about my own experience with my mentor, it is the best thing I've ever done, because it fast-tracked me to getting to where I wanted to be. I was paying money per hour, per month, and I had homework, and I was accountable the following month to say, hey, okay, I've done it, I've done this, I've done that. Where am I now? Where do I want to be, and how am I going to get there? So I'm going to be building on my mentoring program that I do with individuals on a one-on-one basis, and just not forget to enjoy life as well. I'm financially free. I always have my weekends off. I always have Wednesdays off as well, to enjoy myself and enjoy my family and do my outdoor pursuits and enjoy lovely Cornwall, really. So want to keep busy, but not forget to remember why I did financial freedom was to have choice, to do what I want to do. I don't want to swap my job as a property manager for 4 years for another job, a full-time property developer, because yes, I enjoy it, but I want to do it on James's terms.
I love that. You go, James. Absolutely. Yeah, exactly. That's how I feel like I want to put like fireworks on for you. Woo, woo, woo.
I have got a full firework display I was going to do, but yeah, we'll leave that.
Maybe next time. No. Absolutely fantastic. What an inspiration. I love your comment as well about the mentor. Having a mentor is, as you said, it gives you accountability. If nothing else, it gives you the accountability. It helps you to clear your goals, to structure your days of how to break down your goals and your targets and your actions, and how to really look into it, because you got so many people, if they're trying to do it without a mentor, you don't really have anybody who've done it already and has experience either in the same strategy or in business, and you're gonna have to do all those mistakes they've done if you're not gonna get advised by someone who've done it. So even just not doing the same mistakes, helping with the clarity, helping with accountability, it's absolutely huge. So I absolutely agree. And well done. So now you also became a mentor. I mean, like, how fantastic is that? And I love the fact that you are so strict with your time off as well. I absolutely love that. And there's again multiple reasons. Of course, you don't want to just work, but also just to remind yourself why you're doing that. And loads of people say, you just work now because you want to have so much free time in the future. I mean, like, but who said that you can't have both? You can have a longer days. You can work, like, instead of having a 9 to 5 on the days when you work, you maybe work longer days sometimes, or you sacrifice a little bit of your evening for extra phone call or for extra email. But be so strict with your time off. It's so important, because building your wealth around your wealth when it comes to your life and the health which comes with it, it's also equally important in my opinion as well. So I think it's really important, and I found that I would just say that well done for doing it that way. I found that very inspiring as well, and so that's fantastic. Thank you for sharing this story. I absolutely love it. And as you said, so now you and Dan, you're looking at bigger projects as well. And this is what I meant when I said in the beginning that you are Dan's business partner. So you both were doing the other strategies, like Dan is doing HMOs, you were doing the essays, and now you combine forces and you're doing the bigger projects. Like, naturally you grow into doing something bigger, and it's really quite cool that you're doing it with someone who has the same drive and passion, but slightly different experience as well, because he does HMOs, you do essays, so you're bringing the same passion and similar experiences, but at the same time you have different skills as well, which is amazing, and that's what you want in your business, in the partnership. So that's really cool. Love that. So well done, guys, and I'm wishing you all the luck, and I'm sure you're gonna smash every single project you do. I can't wait to see your project and to hear more, because obviously I follow both of you, so I'm gonna know everything about your project, so I can't wait. Perfect. Okay, James, can you also tell us a bit more about what is, especially for those beginners out there, like, as well, what excites you the most about the property now? I asked you before how you got into property, what was exciting you in the beginning before you wanted to get in, and now you're in. So what is the thing excites you the most being in?
I think being in the SA business at the moment, I really get a kick out of somebody having a really nice experience. And technically, like a holiday is kind of like problem solving. You've got somebody that wants to come away, have a break, relax, forget about their own lives, and just have a nice time as a family together and enjoy Cornwall, enjoy the beach. And I just love going the extra mile for them, because they always look at me a bit weird when I do roll out that red carpet. So when they arrive, I give them a personal call. At the moment I do anyway for the contractors, because we're in COVID, but normally I would go and knock on the door and physically go and see them and all of that stuff. I'd put chocolates out for them, give them a card, make sure I know it's their name if they've got a birthday coming up or anything like that. Now that's the type of thing that you might do at the Savoy in London. You try and find out more about your client and really try and impress them. You don't need to do that in SA. Well, actually I do, because I want to get a 5-star review, which I know will generate me more business. So I love the exchange, and it's what excites me, is that the guests have a fantastic time on their holiday. Nothing was too much trouble. They give me a 5-star review and they hand over their money, and that's the perfect exchange of business. They paid me for a service and it was more than what they expected. So to get that feedback, that's what keeps the fire fueled for me, because I just love giving them a great time. And it makes me feel good. I've got money in my bank and I can take whatever days off when I want because they're paying me, but yet they go away feeling like they've had a wonderful time. So it's win-win on both sides. That's what really excites me about my business.
Fantastic. I love that. Absolutely love that. And I love that you're going through all those details for the clients. And that's what's making you special. And that's why people will return back. And as you said, you've learned things like that, obviously, by when we mentioned before, you have the experience in yachting, in this, yacht, with working on yachts, luxurious yachts, and also working with luxurious essays. What you've learned is those attention to details and being different, because there is a reason why they're different. So you're showing that you are practicing what you've learned and you're actually doing it for your clients, and that's amazing. Right, James, as I ask every single of my guests, what would be the top 3 from James? You've shared a lot of tips already during this episode, which I'm sure that people will find very useful. But the top 3, what would you recommend?
Oh, it's very good question. Very good question. I would say the first top 3 tip for yourself as an entrepreneur and property investor developer would be, for me, mindfulness. Treat yourself like a racing car in Formula One. You're not going to put any Tesco's fuel in it. You're going to get very specialist fuel from a very specialist supplier, and you're going to put the best in you, So I think eating well, exercising, making sure you get your rest and your downtime. It might seem a bit strange, but treat yourself a bit like an athlete with it. You're only going to perform on how you keep yourself. I'm not saying I'm the absolute picture of health and I like a curry like anybody else does, but I do it in moderation. I get up early, I go for a run, and I try and eat well and look after myself, because it makes me be able to attack my business in the best way possible. I've got a clear head, I also do a lot of meditation in the morning and just get my game on, really, and be in the best space possible to smash the day out, so mindfulness, get yourself in a good headspace to operate your business. 2, I would be getting into the habit of outsourcing. Understand you cannot do everything yourself. Don't be greedy. It's impossible to do everything else. Imagine it like a footballer. If you are going to want to become the next Ronaldo, you're going to have to get yourself a coach. You're going to have to fine-tune your skills. You're going to have to take a penalty 1,000 times. You're going to have to take a corner 1,000 times, and they're going to do video analysis on you to, fine-tune your core skill. So by having help, get yourself a really good mortgage broker. Get yourself a really, really good mentor. Get yourself surrounded by people that are in property and you can learn from them. And I call it my power team network. Just get a really good team that can help support your business to drive it forward, because you'll quickly find you can't do everything yourself. So that's the second one. Always outsource and don't be afraid of it. And get the help you need. We all need help in some way, shape or another, because you can't do everything. And that involves contractors as well. Get the right builders, get the best, pay more, because at the end of the day, they're going to do your refurb quicker and to a better standard, which will help you get a better refinance and get your money out. And number 3, I would probably say, don't forget to have fun. That's absolutely key. If you're not enjoying what you're doing, you've lost the battle. Keep it fun and enjoy life, because that's what it's all about. I can't stress this enough. This is my belief that, life is not a dress rehearsal. And the reality is your life could be taken tomorrow. So enjoy now. Don't forget, about now, and enjoy life while you've got it. If property development and investment, it's going to make you stressed, not sleep at night, all the rest of it, then it's probably not for you. And I'm just putting out there as a warning, because as soon as you start not enjoying something, it becomes a chore. And that happened, I have to say, with my last job. I'm not going to mention any names or anything like that, but let's just say I wasn't enjoying my job, and getting up in the morning, going to work, was a chore. I just felt like another rat in the race, going with everybody else, and I wasn't enjoying it. So I stopped getting motivated for that job. Keep it fun and keep it fresh is my 3rd tip.
Wow, absolutely love your tips. And what I love about the number 3 one, actually, the fun bit, is that something what I always end my post or something like that when I'm trying to share with someone something I've learned. Every single time I say, don't forget to have fun. So a huge fan of that one as well, because as I said, I completely agree with you. It's like, if you don't enjoy what you're doing, it's going to reflect on your results as well. It's going to reflect on your moods. It's going to reflect on your health. Or, if you're doing something you don't like, you truly don't enjoy, it's not good for anybody, really. Having fun is huge. And also, why to be too serious as well in life? Like, that's one of my mottos as well. Like, why too serious? Have fun with things what you're doing, with the people you're working with. Life is just much more interesting when you have fun. So why not to apply the same thing for business? Just have fun. Absolutely agree. Love it. Okay, James. Well, we're coming towards the end of the episode, as we usually are recording in around an hour. And this is the other things I always ask my guests to recommend is any books which you would like to recommend. So I remember you said even in the beginning that you have read a book. So I know that you're reading books, either reading or listening to books. What would you recommend to our listeners?
There's quite a good book actually by Rob Moore, Life Leverage. It's one of his books. It's really, really good. It's just how to leverage the power of outsourcing so that you can enjoy life a bit more by getting other people to do other parts of your job, which is really good.
Fantastic. Great recommendation. Love Life Leverage book. I listen to the books. I don't read them. What do you prefer? Do you read them or listen to books?
I got to be honest, I listen to them. I get a headache when I read, but I do read. But I quite like to lay down, get relaxed, and listen to a podcast or listen to audio. Definitely.
Nice, yeah. And James, what would you have to recommend to watch? It doesn't even need to be property or mindset related. Anything what James would recommend to watch, what would it be for the listeners?
Again, I think this is more me going down the sort of my spiritual experience, but I would recommend watching something called The Secret. There's a book written on it, but the actual watching of it is quite good as well. Because I think visualizations on it explain it a bit better, but it basically refers to the law of attraction and how we as humans are a bit like magnets, and being in positivity as much as we can will attract positivity. And I've had some pretty freaky experiences that I've come to learn now, that just by being positive and asking the universe for things come on my doorstep quite often. And that's not to say I go, oh, please, can I have an Aston Martin on Monday at 9 o'clock, arrive at my property. It's a bit more than that, you know, it's something a bit more geared towards maybe, please let me find this other investor I need for this once in a lifetime opportunity, and stuff like that. And then guess what? The phone.
So I can get my Aston Martin on one Monday at 9 o'clock.
Absolutely. Yes.
Love it. I'm listening to a book currently called Psycho-Cybernetics. Don't know if you heard of that book. If you didn't, I'll send you. Yeah, Psycho-Cybernetics. And it is by, I'm sure it's, there you go, Maxwell Maltz. So it's the guy called Maxwell Maltz. Psycho-Cybernetics. And the reason why it just reminded me of what you just said about The Secret, because I love everything on that topic, and I'm also a big fan of Secret. The reason why I mentioned this book is because this book, it also talks about I'm in the beginning, don't get me wrong, few chapters in, but one of the chapters was, for example, the power of visualization. And exactly what you just said, that you're visualizing, you're picturing, but you're asking, you're talking to the universe, but not in a way, as you just said, no, that please, I want the Aston Martin at 9 o'clock. Maybe one day, but it's the action you take with it, but the opportunities you're finding and things like that, because universe will give you the opportunities to get there, to have things you want, but you just need to see it, you just need to act on it as well. Love that recommendation as well. Thank you very much.
I thank my mother for that, by the way, if she's listening. My mother has definitely had a big influence on me with spirituality, and I'm very glad she has pushed that on me. I thought it was a load of old rubbish when I was younger, but today I'm very grateful not only to have her as a mother, but also her spiritual side that she has rubbed off on me. Very, very grateful for that.
That's beautiful. Oh, I'm sure she's gonna love that comment. That's absolutely beautiful, and it's quite usual. It's quite normal, isn't it? When the kids, whatever parents are trying to teach you when you are younger, you just don't appreciate it that much. As a kid, you have different mindset, different goals, different dreams, more different priorities. But then, it's amazing when you are growing up, you start realizing that, oh, my mother was right. The things where most of the adults are so hate saying it and hate admitting it sometimes, but when you come to your parents, say you were right. It must be really nice for the parents as well. So absolutely love it. Well done. Right, James, can you tell the listeners when we can find you, for those who want to follow you, contact you, get in touch, know more about you? Where can people find you?
Yeah, no, for sure. And like I say, I'm always happy to give advice or just talk something through with people. So I would say Instagram's quite a good one to find me on. So I try to update it at least 4 times a week, just with current projects and things that I'm going through, good and bad, not all the glory and the glamour, but the hard times as well, where you can make comments. So you can find me there at James Baker Property. So that's one on my Instagram. You can also reach me or send me an email, nice and simple. It's james@jamesbakerproperty.com. And then in terms of the stuff that Dan and I are on, I think it would be quite interesting for people to sort of see what we do there as well. And you can go onto our website there, which is cornwalllivingproperty.com. So they're the kind of areas. But just drop me an email or follow me on Instagram. Hopefully I can give some value, because that's what it's all about.
Lovely. Fantastic. Well, James, thank you so much for coming on the show today. I mean, we are coming really to the end now, and I really admire your journey, and I'm sure that loads of people, especially all the listeners, will learn a lot from you. So thank you so much for coming on the show. I really had a good time, really, really good time, and as I said, I can't wait to share this with the rest of the world.
Thanks, Lenka. Thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure. Thanks, Lenka. Take care. Bye now.